All right, hello, this is Elwood EQ, and I'm on my Ranger this time. I've recently transferred him over from the CT server over to the FV or Fiona V server, which is a unique server. And I transferred him over so I could have a different type of character. I feel like leveling up a character from scratch to hang out with Fezzelwig's forum and his crew there. So so I'm no longer an angry geek here. I'm in the Chamber of Chaos. Sounds very ominous and upscale. But anyway, so I'm on my Ranger because after I take care of this person, this mob here, I'm gonna go over some stuff, with my Ranger that that might be helpful. I guess I've kind of had to redo some of his stuff just because I had switched servers, some things, and I had to set him up from scratch because I got a different computer here. I'm playing on with him, and that's always a pain in the rump. I should, but I never remember to back up the character file for all the preferences and stuff whenever I have to reinstall the EverQuest and stuff like that. So whenever I do, I gotta redo everything. And sometimes I end up redoing stuff a little bit better, other times not. Anyway, so I'll be playing this Ranger, hopefully at least occasionally, with some of my guildmates in a group session. And even though Rangers are really good at doing stuff like this solo, they're really best in a group. Because there's no way in heck, unless you have, I don't know, I never have super good gear. Well, actually on the Ranger, I'm able to get some good gear simply out of volume of mobs that you can do regular mobs. When you kill a lot high volume of mobs, you're a little bit more likely to get the ultra rares. And if I'm on a unhealthy rhythm with my playing habits, and I'm playing more than I should, I'll end up getting some ultra rares. I think at one time I was up to getting, just because I played my Ranger so much several years ago, what was I getting? Probably 4 or 5 ultra rares a month, averaging about one a week. So yeah, you're doing something like that, you're going to be able to get some decent stuff because of stuff that you don't want or don't need. You sell for chrono, and then you can use the chrono to get what you really want and stuff like that. So on this guy, I have an ultra rare bow, which is a good thing to have on a Ranger. My augs on this Ranger are not really up to date. Sadly, the bow damage aug is horribly out of date. This is a level 100, and he's up in his 120s here, and it's only got a base damage bonus of 10. The bow damage augs are really hard for me to get for some reason. I don't know. I don't spend a huge amount of time. Anyway, so what I want to do here is go over my macros and a little bit more specifics on the gear, because a lot of people think I'm weird because most of the time I choose to have a shield on. And they think that's because of tanking. What do you think, you're a tank? Something like that? No, I'm not. It's because as a Ranger, you need every bit of survivability you can get, even if you're just going to be face tanking a mob briefly until you can get them at range again. So, as you can see, I'm going to put up this is a T3 level shield I have on my Ranger. Okay, and this is the other weapon I have here. As you can see, the AC on here, you're going to get more stats, right? AC on the weapon is great for a weapon, but you know, the shield's got more armor and a few more hit points. It's, you know, you have more space for extra augs, right? So you can put in a little, this is an old aug again, but you know, it gives you a few extra stats, you know. And with rangers, it's all about the dex. A lot of classes care a lot about dex because they care about procs and stuff. Rangers even more so, because we live and die by procs. So you want as high dex as you can get. Fortunately, the highest dex I can afford on this guy is about here, without shaman buffs and everything. You know, 2398, almost 2400. Kind of sucks, but you know. I have two of the same kind of weapon right here. Oh, I guess this is another ultra. Okay, so I'll just use that because they both have the same kind of proc here, right? Okay, so here's the proc. Back in the day, a long ago, your weapon, the sympathetic proc from spells, this will go off at the higher level when you're just casting your arrows. Any spell that you cast that's in your book. Let's get this out of here. It's in your spell book here, your spell lineups here. Any offensive spell you cast here, you have a chance of the weapon proc to go off, right? And most of the time, if you're solo, you're going to be relying on that root to keep the distance on the humanoids that you're trying to headshot. If you have a weapon, a melee weapon, that has a sympathetic proc that does some sort of direct damage, it's going to break that root. And you're going to think, oh, the root sucks. Oh, why do I have to keep rooting things? You know? Now, that's the way things used to be. From what I understand through word of mouth is that they've changed that, and now the weapon procs do not proc if you're at range on the sympathetic procs. I don't know if I trust that just from word of mouth. And I'm pretty rarely at range anyway. And if in melee range, and if I'm in melee, I'm gonna want something trying to heal me or something anyway. So I may as well have had the healing proc anyway. So I always look for healing hammer proc. You know, it's usually a hammer. It's got some sort of a healing proc on it. So just to be safe, I always get weapons like that. You can roll your dice if you want, but that's what I choose to do. Dex, okay, so dex super important. This is the reason why I have a weapon and shield, and then, you know, I got my bow. So there's that. Okay. Another thing about bows with rangers is also a side note. Right here, ancient arrows, as far as I know, is still the best arrow you can have on your ranger. You can, if there's something newer on rangers that I don't know, then somebody can tell me in the comments. But this is the highest damage arrow that you can have, right? And with enduring, endless quiver, you know, you only need 2 arrows. Well, if you have an endless quiver, Elwood, why do you have 2 arrows? I only see 1 there too. It's because this is my quiver. I have another arrow, the same exact one. It's because of the AA trick shot. If you want your trick shot to go off, which is basically double attack for rangers. Hang on. There it is. It's a double archery attack, right? And I don't have this max yet because I've just started playing my guy again. But so here you go. And in order for that to go off, you need to have at least 2 arrows on your person. They won't ever run out because of endless quiver, but you still have to have 2 arrows of the same type for a trick shot to go off. Otherwise, it won't go off. That's why I have 2 arrows. So that's another little sort of quirky thing that you have to be aware of. That covers the arrow. What I started talking about was the bow. Okay, the higher end bows, they have these procs on them. They're actually useful. Strike of the Archer is a proc that will go off, kind of like your weapon procs. If you play melee character and you're slapping and hitting them and stuff, and occasionally, direct damage or whatever your proc is will go off. The bows have a proc like that now. In the higher end, not the lower end, but the higher end. I think I started it right around level 100 or so. This is an archery strike. It is considered to be arrows, and it does not break root any more often. It goes off. It will trigger any special ability or AA you might have that's passive that benefits arrow damage or archery damage. This will count toward. So that's a good thing. Near as I could tell, some AAs that you use imbued ferocity. No, I'm sorry, that's different. Oh yeah, no, that's okay. This one right here, your weapon's magical effects will trigger during. Okay, this is the magical effects one, right? So this helps the bow. When this is on, you will trigger your. Now it says it will trigger melee weapons, right? Chance that your weapon's magical attacks will trigger during melee combat. Yeah, that's BS. It counts for the bow. I've tested it. I'll start hitting again. It's up here. So when I start killing something, you'll see a little red blip right by my arrow when I'm shooting. And almost every time I'm shooting, man, my weapon is proccing. Extra arrow attacks. That's money. That's good. Keep the arrow. More arrow attacks, the better. Whether grouping or when I group, I never go melee either. Whether I'm soloing or I'm grouping, I'm an archery Legolas type of ranger. If you're all butt hurt over that, do more damage melee, whatever. This is the style I like. This is what I play. You do you, I'll do me. It's fine. I don't care if people are, I'll be up on the parses. Whatever your parse is, fine. You care about that, it's good. I don't care about that. So that's you, I'm me. What else here I want to kind of try to cover? All right, so the fluster and bluster. Okay, this right here these are all of the rooting type abilities I have that I use on my ranger. Excuse me. All right, bluster bolt, flusterbolt. These are bread and butter. Absolute awesome. Okay, it can't be reflected. Okay, it's got push back and push up. I'm not sure what it means by that. That's something new they added to this. The resist check is for physical, which is somewhat of a mystery to me. But the point is both of these spells, they're lower level by today's standards. They're under, but you always want to have these on. You can have these that they're on different timers, each one of these, and the better one obviously is the slightly higher level one. They push them back, and they also have a memblur effect, a mem wipe, whatever. And then they're going to forget the attacker, right? All attackers get toward them, really. So what happened? Okay, so what happens? You'll see it when I start fighting again. But I'm gonna briefly touch on this. So you start attacking a mob. It's coming toward you. You root one of these with this, with one of these. It pushes them back and roots them. And then there's a little blink timer on another effect on it. It lasts a few seconds. I don't know exactly how long, but it's a few seconds. When that goes off, you'll see a little red teardrop thing go over the mob. And at that point, it wipes the mob's memory, clear back to 0 for all aggro of any aggro that the mob had for anybody. Okay, that includes healing and damage, attacking or healing that may have happened in your group or something, right? And then that's it. Then you use this when you're headshotting more for the pushback and the root. But these two skills, they cost no mana. They're on a fairly short cooldown. And it's just awesome. The 6 seconds, the root lasts way longer than 6 seconds. The duration, I think, is referring to probably the mem wipe on it. So that's how long. If you're curious, I think I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say, because it feels like probably around 6 seconds is how long it takes for the memory to get wiped on those things. Another special thing about these roots, okay, even if a mob is immune to root, you use this, it'll still push him back, and the mem wipe will still count on it also. It's just the root effect that it'll be immune to. There might be some cases where you could kind of finagle that to your advantage. If you can keep a really big, do this at max distance, and then you're gonna need a lot of room, but you might be able to still use these to split mobs, which is another thing. Rangers are a lot better at splitting mobs and pulling than people really kind of give them credit for. These two skills is almost all you need to really be able to get a single pull in a group situation, to be able to be a puller. But there are other skills you also have. On top of Blusterbolt and Flusterbolt, you also have, this is concentrated more on pulling. You also have Harmonious Arrow, which is a thing. It's a little different than this. Basically what this AA does is whatever mob you have targeted when you use this ability, it's going to cast an effect similar to this on all the other mobs around that. And that's 100%, I think. I've never had it not count unless it's out of the level range for the AA. And it reduces their aggro range by a lot. So you still have to pay attention to the pathing of whatever you're trying to pull. Okay, this is no damage, and there's a delay on it, right? For this arrow. So what you want to do is, when say there's a rare mob, if you're trying to pull for a group, because you're insane if you're trying to do that solo, at least in current content, you use the arrow, and you use it on the rare that you're trying to use it on, and all the other mobs around it will get that lull effect. And then after a few seconds, the rare will start coming at you. Okay? And then if the rare doesn't get still too close to one of the mobs around it, it's going to, be a single pull and you're good, right? A lot of people don't like to use this because they don't understand how it works, and they also, you got to pay attention to the pathing of the mob. You can't just lull everything and then expect it to be easy all the time. Even people that lull with spells and stuff, they know that it doesn't guarantee a single pull all the time. You might think, I'm obsessed with single pulls. I'm old school. Back in the day, if you didn't get single pulls, it was a very hard, bad thing. I'm just kind of stuck in that mode. What can I say? That's Hamoso Arrow. So that's the pulling, sort of briefly pulling of it. I'm not going to worry about the defense and DPS thing. You can figure that out on your own, unless somebody really wants me to go over those AAs. I'll go over the ones for headshotting. Everybody wants to know about headshotting, okay? So on my snare, I have entrap, which is not instant cast, but it's super short. But you cannot use entrap or the snare effect while moving, unlike say a necro, which their AA snare is instant and you can be running full speed, hit that, and it's still going to snare the mob. Not the case with entrap. Elemental arrow, I got for that on there for groups. You know, it gives some bonuses to cold and fire spells, you know, which is kind of nice. And entropy of nature is our we can dispel a mob. There's a 95% chance to remove up to 9 beneficial spells from the NPC, beneficial to them. So in other words, it's not a traditional dispel. In other words, you're not going to dispel anything that you put on it that you want on it. It's going to dispel all the stuff that the mob might have on it that it either buffed itself through abilities or spells or some other mob did, you know, kind of a thing. You know, anything bad that you don't want on that mob, this is going to get rid of. It's up to 9 things. This is a super good thing to have in groups. This macro is the auto fire. When the auto fire, it does auto fire, and then it also does these AA buffs that have a fairly short. I mean, the group guardian, 10-minute. The self-only guardian of the forest is 6 minutes. So these can get stacked. There's a separation there. So I just have them on, you know, all the time. I mean, you know, whenever I start shooting, you know, if one of these is up, it's gonna come up, and it's a really good buff. Everybody likes those. And then the imbued thing I got, it's on an 8-minute timer. And then Outrider's accuracy, which is good. It's a 5-minute timer. You know, more accuracy is always good. And it helps with the critical damage and stuff like that, right? So these right here, I'm pumping out every time they're up, boom. They're just doing them. The groups like them. I like, you know, groups like the group guardian, and then the other ones are good for me. You know, it's all good. I'm gonna go over the shots here. Shots. I just got my shots. I have all the shots I can have. All right. Claim shots or this type of thing. It puts a debuff that gives bonus to archery damage. You always want to have that up. These are archery. These first two I'm going to do right here only do archery damage, which means when a mob is rooted, it can still break root with archery, but it, unlike a long time ago, archery damage is a far less chance to break root. Okay, it's not like a nuke. Archery damage is different than fire nuke damage or cold nuke, any kind of nuke damage, right? Or melee damage. It is different. The game sees it as different, and it has a much less. You know, then you might say, see right here. And the progression archery thing. They have the archery symbol, but they also do a different type of damage in addition to the archery damage. This says a magical arrow, and it's physical. But for some reason, this one right here, Heart Ruin, the ruin spells, the archery spells, it seems to break root a lot. So I'm thinking that this has got some extra damage. It's really not technically seen as archery damage. This also uses a spell component. These arrows here are these are seen as spell components, not arrows that you shoot. And I need because I like to have this when I'm in groups. I'm just flailing every kind of archery spell I got, right? And this does bonus. It's like a nuke. This is really a nuke. It looks like an arrow, but it's a nuke. And this one right here is the progression spell that is. Rangers are lucky they got a really good progression spell, but as you can see, it's really more of a nuke. See, it does fire damage. It's got nuke stuff on it, so this will break root a lot also. So typically, the only spells I will use willingly, in case unless there's a fizzle and then it goes down to the next one, is one of these, or these two here. This one, full archery damage, and this one, only archery damage. When I'm headshot, I only use these two archery shots. If I'm being lazy, I'll just put the claim shots on for the buff, and then I'll just drink my coffee and watch the fireworks. Jolting roundhouse kicks is something that will trigger your. Oh, geez, it's getting real complicated, but yeah, it'll trigger your focus thing, your synergy one. I don't know why they have the Ranger synergy like this, because I kind of know why, I guess. I mean, still to this day, a lot of people play Rangers in melee range, and that's fine. That's what they like. It's fine. It's the beauty of the class. You can play it melee or range if you want, but solo is range. A lot of people see it as two things, right? If you're soloing, you go range. If you're in groups, you go melee. And because of that, I think that's why they have this the way it is. So occasionally, if I'm in range, it's kind of nice to have the synergy go off. Now there is a range component where you can technically be in range to do bow damage, and you can still, and this effect right here will still go off. If you're in groups and you're really hard charging for DPS, and you want to have your sympathetic or you want to have your synergy go off, you can kind of finagle with your range and still get this kick to go off while you're still shooting arrows to get the synergy effect. There's a little bit of an art to that, and I don't know, sometimes I haven't really cared that much about that type of thing historically, because I just do group stuff. I don't do raid. If you're in raids and there's a situation where you can do that, a lot of people they make sure they do that. They're really good rangers, and that's fine. That's their deal, man. They're doing raiding stuff. You got to be on your toes with the raiding. The groups, you got people backing you up. You're kind of exploring. You're telling jokes, talking about whatever, wife aggro, whatever you're doing, man. That's a lot more laid back kind of a situation when you're in groups. But raiding, some people get really crazy serious about that. And at least the raids that are done by multiple people, not by entire box armies. But that's another subject that I think by now, if you've watched my channel a few times, you probably know how I feel about that stuff. Okay, now the bluster and fluster macros I have here. There's, as you can see, the same. They just use the different. They just use the different spell, and these right here can be used for pulling and isolating singles pretty well. All right, and you're going to be introduced to this spell here, Vine Lash. Okay. When this goes off, it's going to go off Bluster Bolt, which is it's a very fast cast. Both these are very fast. What is it? Where the heck is the casting time for these things? Oh, it's instant. Okay, of course. All right, so these are instant. Both Fluster and Bluster are instant, which means it's going to skip down very quickly to either one of these. Or if there's something here. So this is going to go. So it's going to do this. Then instantly it's going to start casting Sylvian Roots, which is, in my opinion, the best root in the game. Spirits, whatever, it's a root, right? And when activated, it roots the target in place for up to a minute with a 700 point resist modifier. That's a huge resist modifier. It is, to my knowledge, the strongest root in the game. And it goes for a minute, and it's very hard. It will break once in a great while, but it doesn't break that often, much less. It's a much stronger root. And the refresh time is 30 seconds, so half the time it can be up at its max. That's super good to use. I have it on, obviously, on both those hotkeys, right? Oh, crap. So Fluster, it's got it on there too, right? The next one I have on both of them is Vine Lash, which is this, right? This is a weird Vine Lash spell. It's a fairly lower level spell if you're up in the higher levels. And it, I'm sorry, I kind of changed my position to my computer. This is an open air mic. So you're going to be able to root, excuse me, it's a directional root that will bind up to 30 enemies. And it's a fairly short root, but after it fades, it will snare them. It will put a snare on them. This is a directional spell, and the resist is chromatic, and it's got a resist modifier on there. Not a huge one, but at least it's there. This root here is stronger than both Fluster and Bluster. It feels like it's stronger anyway. This uses a physical damage modifier that's pretty high, but it's a lower level. Resist is also, for a mob, will also take into the account of the level of the spell too. Anyway, it's sort of a backup thing. I like to put on all these, right? If you are using a copy of these macros and you want to use them to single something out, you just have to be mindful that Vine Lash is on there. So say if you want to just use one, so it's feasible, and I've thought about doing this myself, have Vine Lash on just one of these, like say Bluster, and then on the other one take it off and just have both these on there, right? So I haven't really grouped yet since I've been on FV, and I've played my Ranger forever. And back when I used to group with them, somebody else pulled a lot. So once in a while they'd let me pull, and then they'd realize, wow, you can pull pretty good, man. Okay, cool. And then I would get to pull. But so there's that. You know, these are dots. I could say this is getting to be long. I can go on and on. Ranger class is very intricate, much more finesse and intricate than people realize. You have to know all the rules. You have to know all the rules for rooting, how Rangers root, and how their root is different than other classes root, than say a Paladin or something like that. The root rules are a little different. You have an AA that makes your roots more effective than other classes. It's a passive AA. And plus with the modifiers too, so you can root better. Just all the other, the archery damage little rules that you have to be mindful of. If you don't know all the rules and you're trying to do stuff, it's very easy to get a misconception on what seems to be not working and why as to why something isn't working. The why is always important. Whenever with my kids and stuff, if they're having trouble with something when they were younger, I was like, do you know why? The why is always important to a lot of questions you might have about anything, whether you're learning things or other stuff. Okay, lecture is done. I'm going to give a little example like I do. All right, so I'm going to get this one here. I hit number 2 to start off, and then I snare it, and then boom. Oh, I hate being a dog. All right, there we go. Other people can be wolves. I don't like being a wolf. I like to block those. Oop. All right. There we go. Okay, vine lash. You know why? Because the root on the grasping on the A root stopped. I haven't even hit shots there. Okay. Oops. And then I hit the other one. And this is basically, I'm not doing the, I'll do the other archery damage. Oh. And there we go. Dead. I don't like that stuff. All right. I like to forage a lot with my, I didn't go over the arrow AA. I like to have flaming shots on most of the time. If I'm with a group, sometimes poison arrows is a little better. Matter of fact, it always is. It does more damage. But this right here, it does damage plus it stuns a lot of the mobs that you're going to be headshotting, and getting an extra second of, of breathing room can mean a big difference in the time you need for the cooldowns on your spells to be able to, before you can punt them back. Sometimes I'll refer to these two roots as punt roots or punts, because it's like you're kicking a football, you're kicking them away, kind of a thing. So as you can tell, when I'm shooting, I think the imbued thing, this is the imbued one. Whoops. And there you go. So yeah, pause really, because okay. That's Hunter Fury. Crap. Anyway, let's look for a little red thing to kind of blink. You'll see red blink with my bow, and that's the bow proc going off. Just wait for it. Incidentally, the bow can proc also from these archery skills. Those give multiple attacks. You hit me with stuff. I always like to have a healer merc up. And of course, yeah, because the Wayleaf doesn't have any pets, I named one of my mercs Elwood. There's always got to be an Elwood. And if I was able to get Elwood as a name for my character, I would just do that. But it seems to be always taken, or EverQuest doesn't like to let you have names like that. I don't know. Name restrictions and stuff, I think, are still active as a legacy within the code. So you can see, look, as long as you pay attention if the mob's moving or not. This is very hands-off kind of a thing if you just don't care about how fast that much. This is a very casual way of kind of grinding XP or grinding mats or whatever. So there we go. Because I'm leveling up a bit and I don't like to do missions and whatnot, tasks and stuff. I got my experience at 50 because I'm going to get AAs as I level. So there's that. Anyway, so this is my ranger. This is kind of how you headshot a little bit. Some of the changes I made, some of the explanations on route, and some of the various little ranger sort of rules that they go by that are really quirky and weird. You can't always trust what the AAs say on them. Like this one says only melee. Trust me, this goes off for your bow also. This affects the bow procs. And that's it. So there you go. I'm on FV with this character here. And any guild mates that might be seeing this, and hopefully I cleared some stuff up. You can ask me questions in Discord, for when I'm on and crap like that. And I know a decent amount about the Rangers. I'm catching up a little bit on the really higher end game, and some of the changes that may have happened a bit, but that I don't know about. it's been a few years since I really, at least a year or two since I really played. A year. It's been a while. It's been a while since I played my ranger to a point where I really know what's going on. And so there we go. I don't know rating. I know grouping a bit, and I know soloing. That's what I know. So any other aspects of how rangers fit in and what's really good for rating, you go somewhere else. I don't know what I'm talking about with that stuff, just so you know. All right. You guys have a good one. So what out.